Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, everyone. This is Mr. Middlepath. Inshallah, all of you guys are doing well. Today's episode is going to be a very interesting episode. I had promised everyone, I think years ago actually, that I would be making a video on yoga, yogic paths, connecting it with New Age spirituality, connecting it with UFOs, DMT, ayahuasca, all of these things, connecting it with lucid dreaming, and how all of these are part of the same spiritual camp, and how we as Muslims should stay away from it. If you're new to the channel, welcome. If you're not a Muslim, you're still welcome to watch. I know I provide a perspective now that some people on the New Age camp or on the new spiritual camp may not agree with, but if you can approach this topic with an open mind, hopefully you'll learn something. I also hope everyone will forgive the bad camera quality. My intention is to buy a new camera very soon. Until then, I'm using my old laptop camera, which is pretty grainy. But if we can look past that, inshallah, today will be a good video. So today's topic, we're going to be looking at the subject of Agoris or Agora, which is a specific practice within a sect of Hinduism. So Hinduism has many different sects that worship different gods, the supreme god, in addition to all of the other gods and goddesses that they worship. So the specific one is Shiva, or Shiva, the Shiva sect, sects that worship Shiva as the supreme god. Now, Agori is a specific sect within those sects that does very extreme practices. And the reason that I'm bringing this up is because we need to take a look and challenge one of the New Age beliefs or one of the concepts that the New Age spirituality has, that all is one or that all spiritual paths are valid. This is very near and dear to my heart to take a look at this and examine this critically, because I've also made videos on DMT, on quitting weed and marijuana, and there are many people who look at these drugs and say these are tools and it's a valid spiritual path. So I want to take a look at this argument that all spiritual paths are valid and take that thought to its logical conclusion. So there is a sect called the Agori sect that does very extreme practices. They meditate on cremation grounds, they interact with human remains, and they even eat their own feces. And this is all in an idea for them to reach enlightenment. Because if you believe in monism, which is that all is one, God is emanating in everything, God is everything, and we are all God, and God is us, and our soul is also God's soul. And sometimes people take a dualistic perspective to this, that your soul is your soul and God's soul is his own, but we're all still one, and it's all blended in, right? So Agoris take that thought and say, okay, well, if all is one, then what you think is evil and what you think is good is one and the same. What you think is disgusting and what you think is beautiful is all one and the same. So they purposely go towards the disgusting and towards the ugly in order to transcend the idea of beauty, good, ugly, and bad. So then what I want us to do is see how I wrapped it in such flowery language. It makes it sound like, yeah, all spiritual paths are one, and we could go, do other things. And if everything is one, then why won't that work, right? Well, we have to take a step back, ponder these practices that I'm about to show you, and we'll discuss it after we take a look. So let's take a look, first of all, at a short done by a YouTuber named Beer Biceps. This guy consistently brings on Hindu gurus and Hindu babas on his show to talk about spirituality and such. So
drinking water out of a human skull, eating the flesh off of dead bodies, even eating human feces. This is how mainstream culture depicts Agoris, but in truth, the world of Agoris is much more complex. It's supposed to be the faster path to moksha, what Hinduism terms as the main mission of human life. What most of us know as Hinduism is usually considered the right hand of God, the meditation, being kind, being honest, praying to God. The left hand of God is supposed to be the faster but more challenging path that Agoris follow. This path gets you to Shiva, the dimension beyond human understanding, faster. And the Shiva energy stands for detachment. Being detached from your own desires, from your ego, and even what society considers good or bad, normal or abnormal. Some people might consider the ritual strange, while others might consider this the fastest way to grow spiritually.
All right. So there you have it, guys. Let's take a look at another video where you can actually see an expert on this topic in the actual podcast discuss this.
I've seen it on Ripley's Believe It or Not on AXN, where they basically consume half-burnt human flesh. So you'll find a whole community of Agoris in Banaras, and one of their rituals is where they have to eat human meat. So are you familiar with this whole thing?
Yeah, it's just one ritual. So there are many.
Okay.
So what is the idea there? The idea there is you will go beyond your notion of what is good or what is bad by doing things which are completely outside human society. You are also meant to have sex with a young girl who died and who's been buried.
Like necrophilia.
Necrophilia. No, necrophilia, yes. So these are things meant to push you beyond the idea of good, bad, ugly, not ugly, this is right, this is wrong. That's the whole, which is why it's called the short path, which it just throws you into the deep end of these experiences, and then you come out the other side completely rid of all these normal notions of good, bad, ugly, beautiful, all of that.
What is your opinion on the concept of ghosts?
So let's stop sharing right here and discuss what we just saw. Again, forgive the grainy camera. I'm going to show you guys one more video before we continue, but I wanted you guys to just pause and take a look at how you saw a video of the dude eating feces. The first short that I showed you, he literally ate feces, and I will show you that video. I will show you the original video where he got that footage from. And then he says, these are depictions from the mainstream media, and the cognitive dissonance kicks in because it's not the depictions of the mainstream media. He literally showed you footage of someone doing that. And we can talk about it a little bit more, inshallah. But there are other interviewers that he brought on. One person actually did follow the Agori path, and we can show that in a different video, in an upcoming video, where the guy talks about how he worked with spirits, used menstrual blood for rituals, he drank or ate food cooked out of a human skull, and so forth. So we'll watch one more video, and I want you to ask yourself sincerely as you're watching this. I want everyone to tap in to their natural disposition, right, as human beings, and say, is this the way I can get closer to God? Is this how I should do it, right? So I'll show you guys one more video. We have a CNN reporter, he's reading a story,
I came here to ask you some questions. Maybe later. Maybe a little bit later.
He says the god from Karmation, Lord Shiva, he gives them something to eat in form of rotten bones or some kind of human flesh.
Thanks. Okay.
हे माता सबकी मुरादें पूरी कर हे माता मसान महाराज काली माँ काली नहीं पीते तो मुंह में तो लगा के देख लो बस.
After they start drinking out of this, when they do the literally, I want to fast forward.
Will he tell me now what I have to do?
So, एक मिनट रुको. So now he's not polite with me, and he knows. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness.
All right, I think that's enough. That was kind of funny at the end. So it's getting dark right now, so I want to finish this video. You probably can barely see me, which is totally fine. But if you can ignore that, bad camera quality once again, focus on what we're about to say. I want you all to focus on what you all just saw and ask yourselves, is this the path to God? You notice how when the interviewer, the previous interviewer saw, the podcaster, was talking to the guests, and they said that they do necrophilia and they have sex with a human girl, like a freshly dead human girl. My question is, neither of them stopped and said, hey, that's wrong. That's actually messed up. Maybe we shouldn't do that. Maybe some, not them, they don't do that, but maybe they shouldn't do that. Where did they get the dead body? Did the family just donate a dead body to these people so they can do their practice, or did they steal the dead body? Right? How are they implementing this practice in the real world? Right? So these are the questions that we need to ask ourselves, because if someone's going to say all is one and these are all just ways to God, then my question is, how dark do you want to, how far does this go? What if someone says, okay, well, killing babies is the way that I decide that evil and good are all one and the same and it all doesn't matter, right? When does it become too much? When does it go too far, right? And this is the part where someone who is totally into this stuff will say, yeah, but you don't really understand that CNN news reporter who the dude was throwing feces at was actually had bad energy, so he was chasing him away because he was really in tune with himself. The guy who was eating his feces was actually reaching enlightenment. All I can say at this point is, first of all, respectfully, Islam tells us not to make fun of other people's gods. It's literally in the Quran. Do not make fun of other people's gods, lest they make fun of Allah, lest they make fun of your own God, right? The creator of the heavens and the earth. But at the same time, prophets did go to people when they saw them worshiping falsely or they saw them worshiping idols, and they'd ask them questions. Do these idols benefit you? Do these idols feed themselves or clothe themselves? You're the ones that feed them and clothe them? Okay, then how do you worship them, right? So I want us all to tap into our natural disposition here. If something is universally repugnant, universally disgusting, like eating feces or having sex with the dead body, how is this the path to quote unquote enlightenment? Or how is this the path to get closer to God, right? Only, and we have to call it for how we see it. And this is not disrespecting other people's faiths or other people's cultures, but we have to call things like we see them. If we see that a practice is evil or it makes no sense, we can say this is an evil practice and it makes no sense. This is an evil thing to take a dead body and to have sex with it. And not only that, add to that the crime of grave robbing, because I'm 10,000% sure that no one's just going to give their recently deceased girl to these people so they could do what they want with them. They have to steal the dead body, right? Add to that, yeah, the whole grave robbing aspect. We have to say this is evil. And anyone who practices that, this is not the way to God. This is the way to shaitan. This is the way to the devils. And as a matter of fact, one of the practices of black magic and devil worship and devil things is to immerse yourself in the impure. In Islam, we call this najasa, things like blood, things that are impure, right? So they immerse themselves in the impure to get closer to the devils, right? So that's where we're going to end for now. We're going to talk about this more when I do my yoga series, and we're going to connect this back to all of the other topics that I've been talking about at length on this channel. Why you should quit drugs, why New Age spirituality isn't true, why the idea of using DMT and psychedelic drugs is false, and it doesn't get you close to God. As a matter of fact, it gets you close to something else. These are all part of the same paths. I'm going to end here. Alhamdulillah for Islam. If you are not a Muslim, welcome to the channel once again, and I hope everyone benefited from this. Take care, peace out, and Assalamu alaikum.